Cheers guys, Epix here. Welcome to another game in the Quick Look series. Today's game, Borderlands 2 VR. Now I know there are a lot of video choices out there for reviews for this game, but I'm going to speak frankly and say I don't think a lot of those have the information this video is going to delve into, namely the control architecture, the options in the menu system. That's what really sets this game apart, not just from its predecessor, but other virtual reality games. And sadly, a lot of those other review or quick look style videos don't really delve into that. Now, there are timestamps, so if you don't want to get caught up in the minutiae of the menuing system, hop right on by via the timestamps. If you do, we are going to dig deep, not just to see what the difference is between the DualShock 4 and the Move controllers, but answer questions like strafing. Does it work? How does it work? Which one can do strafing better? We're going to look at the comfort options. I think Gearbox has done a fantastic job on that with some minor criticisms. We'll get into all of that and more. Now, for those of you who do not know, for some reason, you never played Borderlands 2, this is your introduction to the game. It's an action RPG. If you put Destiny kind of on one end of the scale and a game like Fallout, and I'm lifting this straight out of a review video. I'll have the link, Shepherdog something, but he made a brilliant point that this game falls closer kind of to the Fallout 4 on that spectrum than it does the Destiny, but really it helped inspire Destiny, so I get that. Lots of loot in this game, lots of randomization. If you like itemization in a game, you're going to love this game because there's no shortage. There are so many millions of combinations because of the random generated system in this game. You could be looting for a long time to come. It's got RPG elements, level ups, skill ups, 4 different character classes you can play. In short, a hell of a lot to do if you like action RPGs, especially in a post-apocalyptic setting, albeit not on Earth, but on another system, really. Pandora, its moons, etc. Guys, with that said, sit back, chillax. Let's take apart Borderlands 2 VR. All right, here we are, guys. We are in the menu system, and what a menu system it is. And look, some people get VR sickness / motion sickness, others not at all. I tend to be in the latter camp. 3 instances of it. One of them actually in this game. We'll get to that when we talk about circle strafing. We're going to compare, contrast the controllers, doing stuff like circle strafing on the Move versus the DualShock 4. But we're going to start things off with the DualShock 4 and the menu system. So wherever you fall on the spectrum of motion sickness, you know, a lot of devs try to cater to some comfort options to kind of stave that off, right? Mitigate it. Gearbox went the extra mile, guys. Check this out. So here's comfort, tunnel vision. Not only can you set it to off, you've got low, medium, or high. So that's a narrowing of your field of view. Right up to almost half with high or just minimally with low or of course off. How quick that effect happens, you can adjust. Have that effect happening when you're running, moving, walking. You can enable that to low, medium, or high or off. When you're rotating, remember I talked about circle strafing, that can be addressed. In fact, I was able to address that right here with the speed of that happening when I was rotating, pivoting, strafing, etc. They've even got you covered if you're in a vehicle, Jeep, tank, boom, force low, medium, high, or none. The scope of a pistol or rifle, likewise, using melee weapons, swords, hand-to-hand type stuff, staffs, covered as well. So the swing motion behind that, believe it or not, that is also, you know, and it happens in games, causes motion sickness in VR games, and not addressed in the menu system at all. Gearbox has ensured it's addressed. I love this second to last one. This is the height offset. So in the Rift and Vive, when you're calibrating, you can adjust your height from the ground. PlayStation VR works a little differently with its calibration, so if you're in game and you feel like a hobbit or you feel like the frickin' mountain from Game of Thrones, guaranteed there's a setting in here. You can go all the way to -50, and see that's bringing me closer to the ground, or the other way up to positive if you want to go above, i.e. you're a taller person. They've even thought of the gun pitch offset. So what this is the gun angle in degrees relative to your controller. Again, lots of games have this as an issue. Most never address it. It's addressed in Borderlands 2. You can see various from 0, 15-degree chunks all the way up to 90. Next up, controls. Some of these options also have to do with mitigating motion sickness. I love how they've separated it though. The aesthetic, the visual effect of movement covered under comfort, the actual movement, the raw, mechanics behind it covered here in controls. Lots of presets, default, left-handed alternates, you name it, there's an option in there. You can walk and teleport, just teleport, or walk and jump. I love the hybrid of walk and teleport. There are times where teleporting can make your life a bit easier, but I never want to do away with the ability to play smooth motion. The speed of that movement, medium, fast, instant, slow, walking speed as well. How you turn, is it gradual? Is it smooth snap or instant snap? Meaning the chunks by which you turn. You can go smooth around, 1 degree at a time, or you can do it in massive degree chunks, right? 30, 45, 60, right up to 180, which essentially will pivot you right around each time. Your snap turn speed can be adjusted. The sensitivity of a gradual turn, and if you thought it wasn't enough to have one option for those strange left-handed people, Gearbox has gone in and catered to them again with a second option. Do I think that's overdoing it for the lefties a little bit? Yes, but hey, it's Christmas time. Why not? All right, so there you go, comfort, controls, and that was all in jest, guys. Gameplay, most of these options, what you expect out of Borderlands 2, the regular version, with a couple of caveats thrown in for console users. So you've got weapon aim. If you are a mouse and keyboard first-person gamer primarily like me, you can adjust your aim toggle a little bit on off. All kinds of things, the mini-map, item rotation, if you're offended by violence. Me personally, one of the main reasons I play this game is to revel in the violence, but that's just me. Gun zerking, auto switch, and per shot vibration, all for you to enable, disable, or tweak. Audio, simply the audio levels, right? Everything from music, sound effects, to dialogue, callouts are on off. And then video, I love this. One option, brightness, that's it. Except they've got the second option, color blindness. Now, those of us not colorblind, we generally know it has to do with, mixing blue and green up, and that there are a couple of different types. Couldn't tell you for the life of me what the hell they're called, but Gearbox knows. And not only that, they don't cater to just 2, they cater to 3 types of color blindness. So either you don't have it like me, you have deuteranopia, which I'm probably butchering, protanopia, or, heaven forbid, tritanopia. You're covered. Gearbox, heavy props for that. Well done. That's it for the options, guys. Next up, on the flip side, inside the game, we're going to do stuff with the DualShock 4. We're then going to take a look at the Move controllers, give you my thoughts, compare, contrast the two, catch you in-game on the VR flip side. All right, guys, here we are. We are in-game. We are, as I mentioned, using the DualShock 4. So this is basically chunk movement, as I call it, right? This is when you're rotating in degree chunks. Personally, this bugs my liver no end. We are going to go in and adjust that, and that's just going to be a personal preference, guys. Some people enjoy that, some people have to use it, like I said, for VR motion sickness. All good, but not for us. So we are going to make that instant. We are going to have normal, we are going to have gradual turning, and just a little bit on the sensitivity there we go. So let's test that out. Beautiful, there we go. That is key for strafing, which is oh so important, and one of the first pieces of misinformation that I want to dispel that's been thrown out there on some of the reviews, okay? Don't believe it. You can do it with both sets of controllers. Oh, I just want to see the sensitivity. What is 2 like? That's a little too slow. So we are going to go with 5. Should be perfect for strafing. There we go. Excellent. All right. So here we go, guys. I'm going to just focus on the parts of this game that you're probably wanting to know, right? The stuff like the strafing. You've all seen Borderlands 2, and even if you haven't, you'll see enough to see what the gameplay is like, but I want to focus on what makes this game special and different in virtual reality. So let's get the hell out of Dodge here, go into the valley where Claptrap is, and test us some strafing. I want to show you how this works. So strafing is one of those things that for a game, a first-person game, really helps. People do it on the console side, of course, but it's almost universal on the PC side of things using keyboard and mouse. And what it simply means when you hear somebody strafe, okay? Right now, I'm strafing. I'm moving left and I'm moving right, as opposed to turning and then walking right, you're sidestepping. That's strafing, okay? Circle strafing is when you've got a target and you want to retain your aim on that target but make it difficult for the target to hit you back. So you basically will strafe around it in a circle. And you can see what I'm doing here. Now, one thing I've noticed is you want that turn speed to be just right. As you can see, it's still a little off for me, probably a little bit slower. If we go into, let's try 6 out. It's almost too fast. Probably 4 is the sweet spot. There we go. Perfect. So you can see here, I'm retaining my reticle on that object and I'm basically strafing around it in a circle. So that was something that some people said you could only do on one controller or the other. And believe it or not, I've heard it said for both. That it works on the move and then doesn't work on this. And, you know, works on DualShock, doesn't work on the move. It works on both, period, full stop, with some slight differences. And we'll get into those. It's easier to pull off on the DualShock 4, I think. But every bit as effective on the Move controller. It's just got a bit of a steeper learning curve because the default is you move around super fast. Again, everything can be tweaked and adjusted, okay? So let's just jump out and do the exact same thing with the Move controllers, and I'll be right back with you. Okay, so here we are, guys. I'm going to back up a little bit using the Move controllers. Ideally, you're going to sit a lot further back than I am because you want the right sweet spot distance to the camera. But I'm going to show you anyways how this works. So we're going to rotate and get the hell out of Dodge here. There's the exit. So what makes it a little bit trickier on the Move controller, guys, and I just went the wrong exit. What makes it a little bit trickier is how they've got movement. So they've got one controller, you're pushing the icon button to basically move forward on the left. You can swap that. And turning right and left are via the other move controller, so circle and X buttons. So I'm going to show you the difference here for strafing, guys, okay? And how it still works. So a lot of people who tested this, supposedly tested it, they probably didn't do much with the move controller. They figured, okay, all it does is it allows you to move forward. Well, no, it doesn't. If you move your hand left and right, you're actually strafing left or right. However, you've got your left controller, or again, you can swap it to the right. But if you're moving the palm of your hand exposed completely to what's in front of you, and then switch it to the back of your hand. So back of your hand, in other words, it's like you're covering your chest with your hand. That's strafing right. Palm out and open to the side, strafing left. So it's just a matter then of holding it in that position, or the other way around with the other move button. Now again, you can adjust that speed, right? You find the sweet spot for yourself. But as you can see, I'm clearly circle strafing. Ain't no issue here. It's just a matter of getting used to it. And I got a little motion sickness here because I didn't tweak the speed. But because Gearbox has been so generous with the settings, and they're not paying me for that. I know, I love the series, absolutely, but I'm going to still rant about stuff like the aim controller, but I'm going to give them their props where props are due. And when it comes to comfort or maximum, controller functionality, they've done their homework. You clearly saw me strafe on both. Disregard any reviews that say you cannot strafe on both controllers. It's simply false. Period. Full stop. All right, so having tried both controllers, which do I prefer? I prefer the DualShock 4. But here's the caveat to that. I know if I forced myself to get used to using the PlayStation Move controller, in the long run, it's probably the better control architecture to use for this game. It's going to give you much more flexibility. Yes, it's a little more demanding with tweaks. You got to sit at the right distance away from it. No obstructions between the camera and the controllers. Have your arms, visible, and practice the hell out of stuff. But the rewards, I think, for doing that are huge. You're going to probably play this and have the experience be the closest to PC gaming that you can. If you don't care about PC gaming, you're not a PC gamer, moot point. If you are and you have a console and you're kind of nostalgic for that, give the Move controllers their due. Take the half hour, and practice the hell out of it. It took me about 3 minutes to figure out strafing. I'm confident with another hour or two, I'd be just as proficient, almost as with a mouse and keyboard, with my Move controllers. But with that said, for the purpose of the review, guys, I want to show you some other stuff. So I am going to switch back to the DualShock 4, but I guarantee you, after the filming's done, it's going to be Move controllers that I play primarily with. So let's swap here. Alright, so here we are. So some of the stuff that's a little bit more difficult, you can see here we're holding both hands on the gun as the default with the DualShock 4, whereas the PlayStation Move allows you to have both hands free as the default. And I want to talk about the aim controller. So a lot has been said about the lack of an aim controller, and I agree, it would have been nice to have it as an option. What I can't fault Gearbox for, though, is a shortage of options and customizations. We just talked about that to death. They've provided a hell of a lot for us. Do I think they're probably going to add aim controller support? I do. I think it's going to be in a future patch. We're going to get it. And it's going to be one of those situations I've heard people say, but there's dual wielding in the game. Yes, there is, but you can see how they're handling it with the DualShock, making it two-handed all of a sudden. There's a lot of situations where you're just using one weapon, you're not necessarily using Gunzerker, or certain skills, the aim controller would work just fine, and it would be a blast for this game. To even have it an option for half of the playtime, I think would be rewarding. So that's kind of my 2 cents on it. Beyond that, not going to fault them because they've included so much, and I have no doubt it's coming at some future point. All right. Let's talk a little bit, guys. You know, maybe you've never played Borderlands 2. What can you expect here? So you started gaming recently. You've got. Kill this guy. VR got you back into being a gamer, so you never played the original Borderlands. You love RPGs, action RPGs. You're gonna love this. That's exactly what this is. Lots of loot. You know, it's got that randomization from the roguelikes. Lots of skill up possibilities, and we'll take a look at that in 1 second. Let's just kill this guy first. Okay, so here we go. Let's go into some of the stuff you can do here. Okay, so take a look at this. So weapon style. Here's the gun. Look at the specs on it. You've got damage, accuracy, fire rate, reload speed, and magazine size. Those are going to figure prominently for all your projectile weapons. You're going to use those stats to compare and contrast what's better, like Diablo or World of Warcraft or Destiny or so many other games. You've got color codes that determine the rarity of an item, right? Think purple being kind of rare epic. Well, this game thinks along similar lines, etc. Green, you're more common. White, the most common. Not really much special. They kind of follow all of that, okay? You've got your backpack section, things that you can carry. You've got shielding capabilities, grenades that you can throw out, and skill trees. So I'm using a commando character, and he's got a couple of different skill options here. Guerrilla, gunpowder, and survival. And you can see here, healthy, increases your health. You've got preparation, and you go to some of the lower skills here, just absolutely powerful. Allows you to deploy 2 turrets. So one of the things the commando can do is he can throw out a turret that will automatically attack enemies. So it's like having an extra party member. If we go into the other tree here, Guerrilla, you can see sentries like the turret, rocket pods that you can launch, stuff to increase your gun damage, your hand-to-hand damage, and survival, lots of skills that are survival-based. Last-ditch effort increases your gun damage and movement speed while in fight for your life. So in other words, you get to that point where health is low, you get tough, and basically you see red. So lots of ranks in this game as well. Challenges, your typical trophy type system stuff that you can kind of keep track of. A map, the game is huge, lots of different areas, different themes. Right now it's primarily ice. That terrain changes. There are massive indoor complexes as well. And your quest sheet here. So keeps track of what you've done, what you've got on the go. What the game didn't include, but I'm not going to penalize them for it because they've been honest about it from day one, is co-op or multiplayer. On PC and consoles, you can play with buddies in co-op mode. You can play adversarial. There's just a lot of fun to be had there. This has a focus on single player. I knew that going in. I'm okay with that. It would have been cool, but hey, who's to say in the future if this doesn't sell well, they don't include something like that or retrofit this one to be multiplayer or co-op. So other classes, that do stuff. There's like a stealthy ninja style class. Think, your stealth character in Raw Data if you've played that. Very much along those lines. In fact, Raw Data probably inspired by the ninja character in this game. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. So yeah, it's an RPG action.
I don't hear bully moms anymore.
Would I say RPG light? I would say probably RPG medium, right? It's not light. It does have a good gamut of options. that RPG games have, but it's not super hardcore.
Which most of the time you would be totally right.
So what's the point of this game? Well, there's a character called Handsome Jack. He's basically your nemesis, and the point of the game is to progress, level up your characters, taking on increasingly tougher bad guys. There's amazing boss fights. You know, a lot of games, MMOs kind of really helped make that popular. Other games, Mario 64, platformers did that in the past, but on the RPG side of things, EverQuest with its boss fights, those real epic long ones, we've seen them in other games since, PlayStation 2, 3, PC, this game as well. So usually levels cap out with a boss fight, but lots of variety and fairly open-ended. There's linear progression to the storyline, but you can go off the beaten path at times. You're free to sometimes go off and do side quests, but there is a main storyline progression that you're expected to go through. So, well, there you have it, guys. That's the quick look for Borderlands 2 VR. Personally, I think it's a blast. No way in hell this game was a 3 out of 10. I'm looking right at you, IGN. I know that's since been removed. Nor is this game a 9 or a 10 out of 10. But for me personally, guys, a solid 8. That's what I would rank it. That might improve as I immerse myself more into the game. I've spent about a dozen hours so far just testing things, the control set, etc. But absolutely an 8 out of 10 right now. If you like RPGs, you don't feel there's a lot of them in VR, you gotta get this game. There is no excuse to not have this. If you have PlayStation VR and you like RPGs, get this game. Alright guys, we'll leave it at that. Let me know if you got questions in the comments below. It's been a blast. Let me know your thoughts on this game and we will chat there. Guys, as always, cheers.